the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Right now at 11, 80 trucks with the Department of Public Works are hitting the streets as the remnants of a wintry mix combined with falling temperatures could cause problems on the roads. Good evening to you at 11 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins. Let's get right to WRTV meteorologist Kyle Mounts and a storm team alert. Kyle.
Yeah, and Mark, we had that transition from rain to a little sleet and then some snow across central Indiana. Picked up just under a half-inch in Indianapolis. Fisher's reporting an inch of snow out there, but most areas a little closer to that half-inch mark as that band moved through. And we are still tracking the remnants of that here. A little bit of a rain-snow mix here around Seymour. Some sleet pellets may also mix in here and through Greensburg. This will really start to move out over about the next 2 hours or so. As far as temperatures, still not doing too bad. We are starting to make our way into the 20s, though, in Lafayette and Richmond at 28. It's 32 degrees in the Columbus area. As we go into tomorrow morning, we'll have those temperatures falling back into the middle 20s. So the water that's standing out there on the roads and especially the sidewalks could freeze, create some slick spots out there tomorrow morning. So just kind of test the sidewalk before you step out there. It will be cloudy, though, and otherwise dry. We'll have more on that next system set to impact us for New Year's Day in just a bit.
We will see you in just a few minutes, Kyle. Thank you. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb is updating his COVID-19 orders. At today's weekly briefing on the pandemic, Governor Holcomb announced he's extending the statewide mask order and restrictions on crowd sizes for 3 more weeks. But he is lifting the pause on non-emergency elective hospital procedures. 2,941 COVID-19 patients are being treated at hospitals across Indiana. That's according to the latest update from the State Department of Health. Nearly half of Indiana's counties are rated at the highest risk level of COVID spread. With another holiday coming up, the state health commissioner is again asking people to celebrate responsibly.
I'm sure many of us would like to put this year behind us. There are ways to ring in the new year without putting yourself or others at risk. Those include having a celebration with members of your immediate household, calling friends and families to count the new year together, or even planning a neighborhood countdown at midnight where people stand on the front of their homes or in the streets and cheer at midnight. The safest way to mark the end to 2020 is by staying home with your own family. And if we all do that, we will have a much brighter 2021.
When it comes to vaccines, officials say they expect to announce the next round of eligible recipients within the next week. Indiana's chief medical officer explained how the health department is making sure vaccines are getting to those who qualify under the current guidelines.
With the exception of residents of long-term care facilities, every person receiving the vaccine right now has to attest that they are a health worker who has had exposure to patients or infectious material. We ask that hospitals also verify work IDs or other forms of verification that they meet criteria before vaccinating individuals. And when we get reports of people who aren't eligible receiving the vaccine, we reach out to hospitals to repeat these instructions and answer questions.
Dr. Lindsay Weaver says nearly 76,000 residents have received their first dose of vaccine as of yesterday morning. A vaccine dashboard is now posted on the State Department of Health website. We do have a link for you in the WRTV app. As of now, the vaccines are not approved for young children. The Pfizer version is authorized for people 16 and older. The Moderna vaccine is for people 18 and older. Dr. John Christensen with Riley Hospital for Children tells WRTV the biggest challenge is that the initial vaccine trials only included adults.
Eventually, studies will be continued in regard to children, initially started in adolescents and eventually in younger children. And then perhaps in several months from now, we will have indications where we can give it to young children. But right now, I think it's going to be months before we see the routine vaccination of young children.
Trials in children began for both vaccines only recently. We are learning more about a second confirmed case in the U.S. of the coronavirus variant spreading rapidly in the U.K. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest tonight.
Another case of the new, potentially more contagious variant of the coronavirus discovered in the U.S., this time in Southern California. Officials in San Diego County now contact tracing after a 30-year-old man tested positive.
Because there is no travel history, we believe this is not an isolated case.
And in Colorado, officials say one confirmed case and another suspected case were found in members of the National Guard deployed to help with staffing shortages at a nursing home.
We do not have evidence that the variant virus is circulating in that facility, but testing is ongoing.
Preliminary research finds the new variant is not more deadly.
In addition, it doesn't seem to evade the protection that's afforded by the antibodies that are induced by vaccines.
And today, another vaccine was given the green light in the UK. People there will begin getting the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine Monday, while it isn't expected to get authorization here in the US until the spring.
This is a massive thing for the world.
Meanwhile, hundreds waited in line overnight in Florida to get their first shots of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, as federal officials admit the rollout has been slower than promised, with just 2.5 million shots reported so far.
That number is lower than what we hoped for.
President Trump putting the blame on states, tweeting for them to get moving as the U.S. breaks records for another day. More than 3,900 Americans died from COVID-19 in just the past 24 hours. And right now, more than 125,000 people in this country are hospitalized with the virus. Los Angeles County seeing a nearly 1,000% increase in daily hospitalizations in just 2 months. The National Guard now called in to help at several overwhelmed hospitals in Southern California. Officials warning the situation is only getting worse.
We absolutely have to get this surge under control, and it will take everyone's effort to do so. If we don't, then the beginning of 2021 will be worse than the end of 2020.
Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
WRTV is taking a closer look at how the new economic relief bill will help Hoosiers rebound as the pandemic continues. More than 100,000 so-called mixed status families in Indiana will now be eligible for stimulus checks. Victoria and Jose Hernandez are a mixed status family living in Plymouth. Victoria is a citizen. Jose is an undocumented immigrant from Mexico who has lived in the U.S. since he was 6 years old. The federal government excluded mixed status families from the first round of stimulus checks. That means American citizens did not get the money because of their spouse's immigration status. Many of those families fought back, contacting their congressmen or women, and some even filed lawsuits against the federal government. Their efforts made an impact. The newly passed relief package now includes stimulus checks for mixed status couples like the Hernandez family.
So it really wasn't really about the money. I think it was just the fact that they did not include my kids or myself just because of who their dad is and who I decided to marry.
U.S. Congressman Andre Carson tells WRTV, quote, "I'm pleased we are making progress in righting this wrong. We shouldn't be playing politics with people's lives and livelihoods. All Americans have been hit hard by COVID-19 regardless of their citizenship status, and they all need support," end quote. The Hernandez family plans to put their stimulus money in savings for unexpected bills. Owners and operators of bars in Indiana are hoping to create a stimulus of their own by asking lawmakers this legislative session to allow video gambling terminals in their establishments. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker shows you how much money the move could generate and why some small business owners believe it can help them survive the impact of the pandemic.
The names of more than 900 businesses and owners filled this petition to the General Assembly, all of them asking to allow video game terminals in restaurants and bars.
This is a way to really help out local businesses, and I hope that that's where the heart is this year.
Brad Kloppenstein, president of the Indiana Licensed Beverage Association, says businesses are hurting, and video gaming could turn some of that around, allowing local businesses to cash in on the gambling that's already taking place in our state.
We've had gaming in Indiana with the lottery and horse racing since the late 80s, but now you can pull your phone out and sports bet from anywhere in the entire state of Indiana.
Definitely that would help out tremendously.
Matthew Pavorsnik knows video gambling would bring in money because he owns Flat Rock Tap in Hammond, Indiana, just a few miles away from Illinois, where video gaming is legal.
I talk to the other owners across the state line and see the revenue that they are producing.
That's why he signed on to this petition, hoping to help save many small businesses by creating another stream of revenue.
I think a lot of places are going to be closing if we don't have this come through.
This really is going to help the small kind of mom and pop bars, the ones that have really been hit hard by the pandemic. Our estimates are, give or take, about $100,000 per establishment per year.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
The revenue made from video gambling would be split 3 ways between the bar owner, the company that owns the machines, and local municipalities. A representative from Northeast Indiana is sponsoring a video gaming bill. We'll keep track and let you know if it gets enough support from lawmakers. Police say a man is dead after a shooting on the east side of Indianapolis. Officers found the victim on Sherman Drive near 25th Street around 8 o'clock this evening. This latest deadly shooting comes as a record-breaking year for homicides in Indianapolis winds down. Detectives are looking for any possible witnesses. Coming up here, an Indianapolis man turns to WRTV as he searches for solutions dealing with a muddy mess outside of his home. An Indiana man could ring in the new year by becoming an instant millionaire. And you can watch the fun unfold live here on WRTV. We'll explain how just ahead.
Galleries. Live life comfortably.
A homeowner on the west side of Indianapolis wants to know if anyone can help him with a mess near his property. Malcolm Capps lives on Westbrook Avenue. He's frustrated with trash washing down a creek and stopping near his home. Capps says he has called the city dozens of times over the course of several years.
They usually tell me it's somebody else's job, and I think it's either mayor's hotline or somebody should know who the job it is. And this side, it is bad too, but when this is cleaned out, it don't never flood. Well, they told me on that side, it's a railroad's responsibility.
WRTV reached out to the city about this issue. They say a project is in the works that could ease Capps' concerns, but it's not in the design process yet. Drainage issues are usually the responsibility of the property owner, but the project could help Capps. The stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve could mean a stroke of luck for a Hoosier man who is now in the running for a $1 million jackpot. Stephen Everidge lives in Seymour, Indiana, down in Jackson County. He won $500 on a scratch-off ticket. That win entered him into another drawing, which he also won, and in turn made him eligible for the $1 million drawing. Now he's one of 5 finalists across the country. Powerball and Dick Clark Productions teamed up for the Powerball First Millionaire of the Year promotion. This is video of last year's drawing. So that means Steve will appear live here on WRTV and across the nation on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, all from the comfort of his own home.
Yes. Yeah, they're sending a camera crew to the house. They said there'd be like a 30-foot satellite truck sitting out here in front of the house for like 2 days. So I was like, oh, the neighbors are going to love that.
Well, after the ball drops, the drawing and the big reveal. One of those 5 finalists will win a $1 million jackpot live on national TV. You can watch it right here after WRTV News at 11, New Year's Eve, and cheer on a fellow Hoosier. I can think of a way to smooth over the concerns of those neighbors.
Yeah, well, you know, if you've got that big satellite dish, I guess that's going to make it harder if he does win to kind of hide it, you know, from the neighbors. They're all going to be knocking on his door. But hopefully that stretch of luck will continue for him here as we check out the view tonight in Greencastle. And you can see there is a coating of snow out there. Right now the roads just looking wet, but that shine on the roads could turn a little bit slick here as we go into tomorrow morning. Same for the sidewalks as well. Temperature is just below the freezing mark now in Indianapolis at 31, 28 for you in Kokomo and Shelbyville at 34. But your temperature will drop as well as those winds continue out of that northwest direction around 15 miles per hour. I do think they'll relax a little bit here as we go through the overnight. And there you can see the last of the precipitation. It's fairly light around Columbus at this point and moving southeast of the Bedford area. So a little bit of a rain-snow mix. Not really expecting much in the way of accumulation for you there. We'll all be dry as you head out the door in the morning. Temperatures around 24 degrees there and not a lot of warming tomorrow. We'll be around 30 at noon. Mostly cloudy skies. May see a few peaks of sun here and there, but temperatures only making their way into the lower and middle 30s. So seasonably chilly here for the final day of the year and December. 35 your high in Muncie, 34 in Indy, and just 37 degrees in the Columbus area. As we get ready to bring in 2021 tomorrow night, we will have mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies, temperatures that will hover right around the 30-degree mark. And then we get more active weather here to start off the new year. Friday morning at 5 a.m. you can see that pink shading there indicating where we could have some freezing rain and possibly some ice accumulations there before temperatures warm up enough enough that it's mainly just plain old rain as we go into the afternoon. But an early look at that ice potential, especially north of I-70. That's where we could see a few more issues out there on the road, something we will keep a close eye on for you. As we check out the extended forecast, that 50-degree high on Friday, that will be very late in the day and into the evening. Then temperatures will fall a bit as we go into the upcoming weekend. Could see a couple of snow showers Saturday night into Sunday. And then temperatures not bad really here as we go into the first week of January with highs in the middle 40s. Mark?
Kyle, thank you. More than 4,000 new COVID-19 cases were reported in Indiana today, and some of those cases, people are fighting for their lives. And behind each death is a grieving family. Scripps reporter Chris Conti goes beyond the numbers to share some of the names, faces, and lives lost to the pandemic.
It is not just humans who have suffered immeasurable loss this year. COVID has found a way to inflict pain as well on those who can't speak.
When she was hired, she just set an example for so many other women of color to be hired.
She was Mary Wilson, the first African-American female zookeeper to ever be hired at the Maryland Zoo.
She was a phenomenal woman.
She was also Sharon Jackson's mom.
Mom was mostly noted for her bravery. She had no fear of the animals.
After 4 decades working at the zoo, she retired a few years ago, only to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Before I had to put her in a facility, I did my best for 4 years. I hung in there with her.
The 83-year-old was in this nursing home for only a few weeks when she caught COVID earlier this year. 3 weeks later, this beloved zookeeper was gone.
I thought in my heart of hearts it would be safe, safer there for her.
Mary Wilson is among the more than 100,000 people who lost their lives in nursing homes this year because of COVID.
I just think that it's just a shame so many was lost in nursing homes where we would think that they should have been safe.
For every person like Mary Wilson we lost this year, though, there are countless others still fighting, desperate to survive.
I went to hospital June 27th, and I've been in hospitals since.
Until that day in June, Carl Warden was leading a perfectly healthy, happy life, not a single underlying condition.
And I think a lot of people think if they get sick with COVID, they'll just be in the hospital for a few days and then they can go home.
For weeks, though, he slipped in and out of consciousness. After 4 months, his lungs had finally failed him.
Because of the COVID, there was a lot of fibrosis in my lungs. And it just kept getting worse.
Like so many of us, 2020 had dealt this 57-year-old a devastating blow. The only way to save Carl's life, a double lung transplant.
They cut me open, and then they cut my rib cage in half.
Much like COVID, he doesn't know where those donated lungs came from. But Carl is thankful to still be here and hopes his story serves as a reminder to others that COVID is unpredictable.
And I want people to realize that there's people that are perfectly healthy, like I was, that go from being perfectly healthy to having a double lung transplant.
You're doing good.
Progress has been slow, but after learning how to walk again, doctors are hoping Carl can be home soon.
I'm thankful every day.
As for Mary Wilson's family, they are just thankful they got a chance to say goodbye via FaceTime. And like so many others, are ready to leave this year behind.
My mom was in a bad state of mind, but she didn't have to die.
I'm Chris Conti.
WRTV is asking for your help to go beyond the COVID-19 numbers in the Hoosier State. Share your loved one's story with us by emailing facesofcovid@wrtv.com. We'll be right back.
News.com.
IU and Penn State each looking for their first Big Ten win. Some hot shooting opening things up for Indiana in the second half. Al Durham with one of his best showings of the season. He hit 4 threes in the game, 18 points in the night. Indiana went up by 12. The Hoosiers led for all of the first 39 minutes, but Penn State's first lead came with 25 seconds to go. Sam Sessome's jumper put the Nittany Lions up by 1. Trace Jackson Davis split a pair of free throws with 7 seconds left, so 80-80 the score after 40 minutes. In the overtime, neither team was very impressive. Jackson Davis, just over a minute to go, gets inside deep and scores the N1. The free throw put Indiana up 2. Penn State tied it, and then with the final 15 seconds, Rob Finnessy hits a clutch shot in the lane with the shot clock winding down to put IU back up 2. Penn State was unable to convert on its final possession, and Indiana comes up with a hard-fought win. 5 players in double figures. They improved to 1-2 in the Big Ten. IU will host Maryland on Monday night. Butler with its second game against Providence in an 8-day span. A slow start cost the Bulldogs in this one. Providence hit its first 8 shots in the game. They closed out the first half on a 15-3 run and led by 17 at halftime. BU got within 11 in the second, but no closer. Jair Bolden led the Butler scoring with 15, 71-55 for Providence when it was done. Butler plays at Seton Hall on Saturday. As the Ball State football team arrived in Arizona this week, it is a scene that seemed unlikely just a couple of months earlier.
Thrilled to be here. Our guys have worked so hard for an opportunity like this. Obviously, accomplishing our goal, winning a MAC championship was tremendous, but this is the next great challenge for us, winning the first bowl game in the history of our program.
Ball State opened the season with a heartbreaking loss to Miami. Cards gave up a last-minute touchdown after tying the game, but since then, Ball State found a way to run the table all the way to a conference championship.
All year we've been picked to finish below all these teams, whether it was Western, Buffalo, Central, and so we just keep on knocking them down and keep on showing them.
Ever since then, the mindset, the mentality has been it's championship mentality. We're trying to stay in the winner's bracket, and that hasn't changed. I know we accomplished our goal of the MAC championship, but make no mistake, guys know that we have a chance to make history.
Close wins at home, blowout wins on the road, and a dominating performance against Buffalo in the MAC title game. All of it a culmination of 4 years of hard work by the entire program.
We got a lot of doubters, so we just gonna keep going, just make them, notice what we could do, notice how we play, and notice we not like just any, small team. We go out there and compete.
We preach in our program, and kind of the cardinal way is just, effort. Effort takes you a long way, and a lot of their numbers, I think, come from just staying up or staying with the play and, never giving up on it.
And so now they get that much-coveted December trip to the desert. The Arizona Bowl won't be quite the spectacle as in a normal year, but the players still reap the rewards of all their hard work in 2020.
You guys are now tuned with Ball State football, baby. Let's get it.
Well, it's been a long road, and coming to a bowl has always been a big goal for our program, and being able to put in the work and get to this point where we're successful and being able to have the opportunity to play in the Arizona Bowl is huge for us.
This year will end with that one more game they've been chasing, and it will only fuel the Cardinals even more in 2021.
9-point underdog, and like Coach Lee was saying, I hope it's 10 tomorrow. Obviously in the MAC championship game, I think we were 13 and 14-point underdogs. So obviously, and we've shown all year that, the odds, you don't want to bet against Ball State for sure.
Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Local loan officers can translate for you.
Heading into the new year with fairly comfortable temperatures overall. We've got highs in the 40s for us. The one bump in the road is going to be early on New Year's Day. That's where we could have a little bit of that freezing rain before we warm up to just plain old rain.
All right, who's ready for the last day of 2020? It's just minutes away. We'll see you back here tomorrow. GMI head your way at 4:30 in the morning. Have a good night.